honor to
Remember to keep unnecessary power consumption to a minimum. Don't recharge.
I'm glad to see you return safely. I know the task was difficult, but I needed you to see firsthand how dangerous a rogue synth can be.
The Institute created that synth, so the Institute is responsible for what it does.
I disagree. A synth is no more inherently evil than a handgun. When a man dies by gunshot, is the weapon's maker blamed? Of course not. The blame rightly falls on he who pulled the trigger. Yes, we created the synth. But whether they intended to or not, the Railroad's agents turned it into a killer. But enough about that. The task is done. And you've returned our synth safely to us. I couldn't have hoped for a better outcome. Well done. While you were away, I had quarters prepared for you. You'll find all the basic necessities, as well as a generous stock of arms and equipment. Go and have a look. I think you'll be quite pleased.
Perhaps after you've been disassembled, we can use your components to make something that's actually useful.
Your new quarters are here, sir. When you're finished here, sir, Father wants to see you. It was an honor to fight at your side.
It must make him proud to see all that Father has done, all that he has built.
Hello, Father. Tell me, what would you do when someone has stolen from you?
I try and talk it out, see if things can be resolved peacefully.
An admirable goal. And yet we find ourselves in a situation where something more significant must be done. The group that calls themselves the Railroad have acquired several synths from the Institute. Synths that had gone missing in recent months. They no doubt mean to free these synths, in their delusion that synths are somehow sentient beings. You've been in contact with the Railroad, so you're aware of their misguided beliefs.
They mean well. They're only doing what they think is right.
You dealt with Libertalia. That's the result of their selfish, short-sighted plan. Usually they are a minor nuisance, but lately they have become more emboldened. I'm afraid we've reached the point where a response is necessary. We have learned the current location of these synths, and need to reacquire them before the railroad can hide them.
I'm not sure why you'd bother.
Aside from taking back our property, we must teach them a lesson, as it were, and quickly at that. But it's important that we act on this soon, before the railroad has any indication we've tracked them. We also don't want the Brotherhood of Steel getting wind of the presence of the synths. That would only complicate matters.
Seriously, this is a waste of my time.
Like many things at the Institute, this has ramifications beyond the immediate objective. Keep that in mind. A Courser will be waiting for you near Bunker Hill. You'll need him.
I just heard the most fascinating rumor. The story goes that you actually found the Institute. Been there and back again. Sounds crazy, right?
It's all true.
Deacon says you used teleportation. I can't imagine. You must feel justifiably proud of what your Minutemen have achieved in such a short time. Eventually, the Minutemen will devise their own plan to deal with the Institute. But I doubt your soldiers will place any priority on rescuing the synths inside. I'm counting on you being as passionate about freeing synths as we are. Please, work with us instead.
I'll stick with my people in the Minutemen.
Of course I'm disappointed. But hopefully in time you'll come around. The fate of the synths depends on it.
Desdemona.
Please, work with us instead of the Minutemen. The lives of many synths are at stake.
I don't know.
Take your time. Think it over. But remember, the synth's fate is literally in your hands.
Glad you signed on. Means I might get to take the occasional night off.
Welcome to the family. We're a colorful and arguably insane bunch. But you're stuck with us now. Speaking of which, if you don't mind a sidekick, let's keep a good thing going and travel together some more.
Can we trade a few things?
You doing a withdrawal or deposit?
Please, work with us instead of the Minutemen. The lives of many synths are at stake. response would be appreciated.
I'll work with you then.
You have no idea how relieved I am to hear that. What I'm about to tell you is the most closely guarded secret the Railroad has. It's time you learn about Patriot. There's a man, or woman, we're not sure, inside the Institute who helps synths escape to freedom. Dozens of synths owe him their lives. We don't know his name. We've never had a way to contact him. So we gave him the code name Patriot. So you need to infiltrate the Institute and make contact with Patriot.
I'll do my best.
Excellent. Tom devised a way to send a message to Patriot. We can plant a coded message on an Institute terminal. And, if all goes well, he'll respond. Just see Tom, and you can proceed from there.
Hey, it's Fixer. Fixer's back.
Can I talk to you?
Something on your mind?
The Institute knows about Bunker Hill. They're planning to recapture the synths there.
The timing couldn't be worse. The old man's been sitting on those 4 synths. There's nowhere else that's safe we could put them. Maintaining your cover is vital. But the sacrifice is just too great.
How much damage would it cause if we let them hit us?
We're running out of places to hide our synths. That's why we put so many eggs in one crowded basket to begin with. So what would we lose? 4 synths, Stockton, some of our best agents, and the inevitable civilian casualties? No, not this time. We've never known when and where the Institute would strike us next. But now we have a chance to turn the tables. We wait until the enemy is in position, then we hit them hard. No one they send out comes back alive except you. Understand?
With me working the inside angle, this is doable.
We can't attack too early. We need to draw them into the kill zone and then spring the trap. You'll know when. You'll probably have a Courser escort. You'll have to take them down. You've done it before, but it'll still be dangerous.
Taking down a Courser on top of everything else? It's too much.
It's a risk, but it's one we have to take. So get it done.
Hey,
Hey.
there's something you need?
Hey, Valentine.
Hey, let me ask you something.
Sure, ask away.
It's just, with everything that's happened with you and your family, it's a whole hell of a lot to process. I wanted to make sure you're holding up all right. Doesn't really matter. I'm here now. I've just got to deal with that.
Good attitude to have. Not the way I felt. Took me a long damn time to get a feel for this place. Thank goodness I found Diamond City. It's got its flaws, sure, but it beats the hell out of anywhere else in the Commonwealth. Of course, when I took up there back when, people were just as scared of the Institute as they are now. Maybe more. The massacre of the CPG was still pretty fresh in people's minds at that point. Folks were still losing sleep over the broken mask. Plenty of people assumed I was just a saboteur, moving in to melt down the reactor or poison the drinking water. But at the time, they couldn't exactly turn me away.
Massacre of the CPG? What's that?
The Commonwealth Provisional Government. Years back, a group of settlements tried to get together and form a coalition. Every settlement with even a hint of clout sent representatives to try and hash out an agreement. Only the Institute sent a representative of their own, a synth. The man killed every rep at the talks. The Commonwealth Provisional Government was over before it even got off the ground. I took up in town not long after. I was damn lucky they didn't just tell me to scram right then and there.
Broken mask?
This was long before I'd moved to town, but apparently some gentleman type shows up in Diamond City, heads down to Power Noodles. Guess he didn't like the food because he pulled his pistol and opened fire on the folks enjoying theirs. When security finally put enough holes in him to drop him, they say he was full of servos and sprockets, just like yours truly. Seems he malfunctioned, went berserk. It was the first time people realized that synths had stopped looking like me and started looking like them. Considering what these folks went through, I felt real lucky they let me in the front gate at all.
Why'd they let you in?
Because I'd rescued the mayor's daughter. Gal of about 15. Pride and joy of the mayor back then. Man by the name of Henry Roberts. The young Miss Roberts decided she'd run off with some caravan hand she'd, known for an evening. Turns out the guy was part of a gang of kidnappers. I didn't even know who I was rescuing, just stumbled on a crying girl and 4 toughs. I took her home and the mayor dubbed me a hero, offered me a place in town. Lots of folks protested, said I was a spy, but he wouldn't have it. Taking up in the city was tricky at first, but I never tried to hide what I was, and people seemed to warm to that.
Was it hard settling in?
Yeah, they sure didn't make it easy. I started off doing the jobs no one else wanted. I got more banged up being Diamond City's handyman than I ever did living out in the ruins. But I guess folks never forgot I rescued the mayor's daughter, so they started coming to me when people went missing. Wife runs off with a new paramour and takes the rent money with her. Talk to the synth. An upset father decides moving him and the kids to Good Neighbor in the dead of night's not the worst damn idea since the bomb. Go get Nick. After a while, the jobs got so backed up, they didn't even ask me to do the handyman stuff anymore. Hell, I was so happy to do it, it was months before I started charging anyone. I never stopped being Nick the Synth, but it was Nick the Detective folks came to see. It was about then that things finally started feeling normal. It took me a long time to realize that home is where you make it. And with some time and effort, this place can be home for you, too. That's a long story, but I hope it helps. Want to get moving?
Have you met with Patriot yet?
Hey, Codsworth.
Shall I accompany you, sir?
Yes, of course.
Right behind you, sir.
Codsworth.
Shall I accompany you, sir?
That's why I'm here.
As you wish, sir. Well, that monument seems this level of security is necessary these days. So long locked doors.
I've been waiting for you.
Sorry to have held you up.
Try and keep up from here out. Our targets are inside, 4 synths under railroad protection. Majority of the settlement is uninvolved and are expected to run for cover. The situation appears to have escalated. A covert approach is likely impossible. We move in, secure the synths, and I relay out with them back to the Institute. Clear? The mission's parameters just changed. I'm going shooting. Requesting backup relay now. That's what the intelligence reports.
No way to pick this.
An enemy may be utilizing stealth. How interesting.
Hey,
Head down,
go check that
sir.
out.
It appears someone is shooting at us.
Damage.
Is everyone still alive? You know, in all my years, I've never set foot outside the Institute. Not once. Since the day they brought me here. I've never had a reason. But now, this just confirms the truth I've always known. The Commonwealth is dead. There's no future here. The only hope for humanity lies below.
It's not so bad, really. People manage.
Perhaps. But at a cost too great to be worth it. Standing here, I'm reminded of how fortunate I am that I was spared a life in this wasteland. I know that to you, I was kidnapped from that vault. In truth, the Institute rescued me. Both of us, really.
Kellogg called me the backup.
Did he? Well, he was correct. I was the perfect candidate. An infant with uncorrupted DNA. But if something were to go wrong, if I died, well, the Institute realized a contingency plan was prudent. Another source of pre-war DNA, preferably related to their primary subject. It only made sense that my parents should fill that role. So you were kept alive and safe within the vault. I'll admit, when I had you released from Vault 111, I had no expectations that you'd survive out here in all this. To not only do so, but manage to find me. To infiltrate the Institute itself. Extraordinary.
So it was you. You let me out.
Yes. It was my decision. Certainly it was no longer necessary to keep you suspended. Well, I suppose I wanted to see what would happen. An experiment of sorts. I had no idea what kind of man you were, you see. Would the Commonwealth corrupt you, as it has everything else? Would you even survive? Perhaps most curious to me, would you, after all this time, attempt to find me? And now I know the answer.
That's all this is to you? All I am to you? Just another experiment?
No, that's not all. But still, I'm glad it turned out the way it did. Soon, I hope you'll understand. Everything I've done has been for the future. A future which I hope is not in jeopardy after recent events. Bunker Hill did not go well for us. Would you care to explain what happened?
I made a choice. I let the synths go free.
Why? Why would you do something so stupid?
They were afraid. They didn't want to come back here.
Afraid? They're machines, artificial. They're incapable of being afraid. This was such a simple task. I just don't understand. I know you're capable of handling yourself. How can I expect you to represent the Institute if this sort of thing continues?
I don't want to be involved in this, Sean. I want out.
After all this, after everything you've seen, all that you've learned, you're just going to walk away?
I can't do it, Sean. I can't be a part of this anymore.
I am very sorry to hear that. I had hoped we could be something like a family again. I hoped you shared our vision for the future. I'm afraid there's no room for sentimentality, Father. If you are not with us, then you are against us. Whatever you do going forward, Do not interfere with the Institute's plans. I hope you can find some amount of peace.
I dreamed of you as an adult for so long. Here you are. And I'm so disappointed.
Goodbye, Father.
Paladin Danse.
Are you ready to head up to the ship?
Of course I am. I've never seen anything so impressive.
Takes your breath away, doesn't it? We call our ship the Prydwen. She's loaded with enough troops and supplies to mount a major offensive. If she's here, Elder Maxon's here. And that means we're going to war.
I'm guessing that diplomacy isn't on Elder Maxon's mind.
With a show of force that large, I fear for the innocent of the Commonwealth.
What's the matter? Don't like kicking in the door? Don't worry. You'll fall in line with our tactics sooner or later. That being said, you're about to get to know the Prydwen up close and personal. I've received orders that we're both to report to her immediately. Follow me up to the roof of the police station. We're going for a little ride.
Taking this bird for a spin then?
Got a minigun in front of you, loaded and ready to fire. If you spot anything hostile during the flight, I suggest you put it to good use. Make sure you properly identify your targets before you start shooting. We don't want to have any mishaps and fire on the locals. The Commonwealth looks different from up here, doesn't it? It never ceases to amaze me.
how drastically your perception of the battlefield changes from the air. We're gonna need that edge when we take on the Institute. They've already proven that they're technologically superior, which means there's no telling what types of weapons they'll have in their arsenal. Hopefully, our air superiority and tactical know-how will make the difference. Now all we have to do is find them. And I'm betting that Elder Maxon will have a plan already in place by the time we arrive. I wish everyone down there believed in our cause. But they've been blinded by rumors and misinformation. They don't realize that the Brotherhood of Steel is the Commonwealth's last hope for survival. Every man, woman, and child below is in mortal danger. If we fail, it's only a matter of time before the enemy overwhelms the population. Cleansing the Commonwealth is our duty, and I will gladly spill my own blood if it ensures our victory. We're on final approach to the airport. The Prydwen should be coming into view just ahead. We'll be meeting Lancer Captain Kells on the flight deck. Just stick close to me and answer all of his questions. Far too long since I've been aboard. All right, soldier. This is the moment when everything changes. I hope you're ready.
Permission granted. Welcome back, Paladin. Allow me to be the first to congratulate you on a successful mission. And is this our new recruit?
Yes, sir. I feel promoted him to initiate, and I'd like to sponsor his entry into our rankings personally.
Yes, we've read your reports. You'll be pleased to know that Elder Maxon's approved your request and placed the recruit in your charge.
Thank you, sir. And my current orders?
You are to remain on the Prydwen and await further instructions.
Very good, sir. Ad Victoria.
Ad Victoria. So, you're the one Paladin can get back. Everything isn't complete.